Good afternoon, dear students. I hope all of you are keeping well. Um I have already sent some of the study materials in the college portal. I hope you all have seen them. And today we are starting with our lectures. So please uh, see if you have any difficulty or if you have any inquiry, then do let me know so that we can discuss them in the coming sessions. Okay, now the topic of my today's lecture is the basic features of the US Constitution. Okay, now we had some classes when the college was going on. I have started with this topic, but still I want to um, mention the different features of the US Constitution so that you get a complete view, okay, of the chapter. Okay, because I've seen that many of you have selected this topic for the tutorial project, so I thought of revising the entire chapter once again so that you don't face any difficulty in writing your tutorial project. Okay, now we all know that the United States of America, a very powerful country in the world, runs with a constitution, under a constitution. Okay, and this constitution was framed in the Philadelphia Convention, which took place in 1787, and thereafter it was implemented in 1789. Okay, now the constitution has certain best features of the world, okay, of best features, like amongst the different uh, constitutions which are operational, which exist in different part of the globe. Okay, the constitution is the briefest constitution of the world. Okay, a great expertise of clarity and what shall I say? Uh, Apart from clarity and a great deal of draftsmanship, okay, has also been exhibited while framing this law of the land. Okay, now there are different features of the US Constitution. Let me go through the features one after another. Okay, so the first feature is the written constitution. Now I think that you have also studied at least some portion of the UK constitution, the constitution of Britain, and you have seen that in UK there is a unwritten constitution. Okay, but unlike Britain, USA has a written constitution. As I have said, I have referred to the Philadelphia Convention, and the written constitution, there were, like when the constitution was framed, there were 7 articles, and thereafter, with the period of time, different amendments have taken place, and the judicial decisions, okay, conventions, all these factors also played an important role in the further extension of the provisions of the constitution. Okay, so the point is that it is a written constitution, but corollary to this point, there is another feature which I'll come to next. That is that the USA has a very rigid constitution. Okay, now we know that constitution can be rigid, constitution can be flexible. Okay, now what we mean by this? Flexible constitution, from the name itself you can make out that the constitution which can be amended very easily is a flexible constitution, but the constitution which has a very rigid and hard procedure of amendment, okay, uh, you can amend, but you have to go through a very strict procedure, then that is known as the rigid constitution. Okay, so in USA, we know it's a it's a federation actually. So the thing is that in USA, before, like after initiative is taken to amend the constitution, okay, So from the time of initiative which is taken for the amendment of the constitution to the completion, to the task of completion of this of amendment is not something which is very smooth and very fast. It takes time and it has to go through a very hard procedure of amendment. Okay, how? Like when a proposal for amendment is raised, it is actually it has to be passed in both the houses by 2/3 majority, and thereafter, like the four-fifth proportion of the states of America has to accept the amendment by enacting that, by passing that. So if you have first 2/3 in both the houses and thereafter 4/5 the proportion in all the in the combination of the total number of states of America is the procedure how the constitution can be amendment. Okay, so this is quite a rigid procedure, a very strict procedure. This is how the constitution can be amended. Okay, so this is the second feature of the US Constitution. Now, third feature is that it has a federal character. Now, I think that you have gone through the first topic which is there in your syllabus, that is the difference between unitary federal, presidential, parliamentary, authoritarian, liberal and other types of systems. So you are acquainted with the term federal. What do you mean by federal? Federal means like when there is a central government and there are state governments as well. Okay, that means here definitely like there is actually a distribution of power between these two sets of government, the central government and the state government. Okay, now when the constitution was framed, there were actually 13 states in USA, but thereafter the number has ultimately been reached to 50. We know that there are 50 state governments in USA. Okay, now in the federation what happens is that for example, India is also a federation. You can see what is like what are the different complexion of a federal government. We know that, but still the thing is that it seems that it is also that the central government is actually powerful than the state government. Okay, because there is a division of power. Central, like some of the powers have been given to the union government, some of the powers have been given to the state government, and the residual powers are sometimes distributed between the center and the state. Okay, but the thing is that here in the American setup, the residual powers has been given to the state governments also, but the thing is that by the implied power, okay, like America is a very strong country, okay, and the central government has definitely has taken different strong decisions at different point of time, because of the fact that no matter, even if the residual powers have been given to the states, okay, of United States of America, but the implied power which have been given by the which has been given by the Supreme Court of USA ultimately maximizes the power of the central government in United States of America. Okay, so this is another feature that USA has a federal form of government. Okay, now the fourth feature is that that there is a supremacy of the Constitution. If you see any of the federal government, in case of India also, that the Constitution is actually supreme. Okay, that means it is the basic law of the land, and it has a schematic diagram how the powers and prerogatives have been like powers and responsibilities had been distributed between different organs of state power. Okay, so what the Constitution says, that is final, and the judiciary has been given the task of protecting the letters and spirit of the Constitution. Okay, so that means the Constitution is supreme, and what the Constitution says that is considered to be the final verdict. Okay, so this is the thing. Next feature is that the separation of power. Okay, now USA, the framers of the Constitution of USA, the architect, they have been influenced by the Montesquieu theory of separation of power. Okay, where it says that executive, legislative and judiciary, okay, like these are the three wings of the government, and it has to work in its own jurisdiction, and so it is to be done in such a way that one is to be separated from the other. Okay, that is the reason why if you go to the if you go to the writings of the American Constitution, then you will see that Article 1 gives power to the Congress, okay, when it comes to the arena of lawmaking. Okay, Article 2 gives the power to the President when it comes to the executive power, and the Article 3, okay, it gives for power to the Supreme Court, okay, when it comes to take the judicial decisions. That means legislature, executive and judiciary has been given to these three bodies. Legislative power has been given to the Congress, executive power has been given to the President, and judicial power has been given to the Supreme Court of United States of America. Okay. Now the next feature, which is actually an extension of the concept of the separation of power, is that it's a concept of the checks and balances. Okay, now you see, if you give any organ of state power some very unlimited power, okay, unlimited power that you can work on your own and you are supreme in your own jurisdiction, then what will happen? Then a tendency of hegemonism, okay, some kind of a unilateralism or some kind of a authoritarianism may emerge after a period of time. So what is needed? That and especially like these are the three like different wings of government, where you cannot work as a watertight compartment. Understood? Like you have to collaborate with each other and work together as a team. Okay, so the thing is that this concept of checks and balances, you can understand from the very word checks and balance. That means I will check you and I will maintain a balance. Okay, how? Let me give some example. For example, the President can veto the bills which are passed by the Congress. It's not that whatever the Congress is legislating, that is supreme and can never be contradicted. Yes, the President can do so. Okay. On the other hand, the Congress and I'm naming Senate in this case, the upper house of the Congress, it can it has to give its confirmation when the President appoints anybody, okay, to any key position. That means for all the appointments that the President is making, Senate will have to give its nod. Understood? And in case of any treaty that you are agreeing upon or any ratification of any kind of agreement, Senate is absolutely important. So that means, you see, another example let me cite, and then after I'll say judiciary, Supreme Court also plays a very, very important role of judicial review, where it will review the laws and legislation which have been passed by the legislature, Congress, and any executive action, okay, which has been enacted by the President. So you see, as if three of this executive, legislative and judiciary, they are checking each other. Executive will check legislature, legislature will check executive, judiciary will check both executive and legislature, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is the feature. Next feature is the Bill of Rights. Okay, now if you have studied Indian Constitution, then you are acquainted with the chapter of fundamental rights. Okay, that means Bill of Rights is actually, okay, this is another feature of the US Constitution which focuses on the rights the liberties, the prerogatives of the citizens of United States of America. Okay. Now, when the Constitution was framed, it was actually not there, but it was, it has been by the first amendment of the Constitution, the chapter of this Bill of Rights have been, added to the Constitution. Okay. So, what are the different types of, powers and freedoms that the citizens of USA they are enjoying? For example, right to liberty, freedom of speech, freedom of worship, habeas corpus, okay, no unlawful seizure, no unlawful arrest. All these are some of the, basic freedoms that have been assured or entrusted to the citizens of United States of America. Okay, and if you go through the the fundamental rights chapter of other countries, then there also you will see that these are more or less the some of the rights which bears the hallmark of any liberal democracy. Okay, mostly all the countries definitely ensures this kind of freedom to its citizens. Okay. Now, the next feature of the US Constitution is the power of judicial review. Okay, this I have already mentioned when I was discussing the checks and balances. Judicial review is a very powerful organ, and it gives great it gives great responsibility on the shoulder of the Supreme Court of USA, that it can review the executive orders and the legislations which are passed by the president as well as the legislature. It will see whether that the Supreme Court will see whether this orders and legislatures, these are contradicting the letters and spirit of the Constitution or not, and whether they are actually abiding by the Constitution which have been which is operational, okay, in the United States of America. So the task of this kind of this kind of actually what shall I say, as it's some kind of a check on the power of the legislature as well as the legislature as well as the executive, that whether you are violating the provisions and or spirit of the Constitution or not. Okay, so this is a very, very important power which has been attributed to the Supreme Court of USA. Okay. Next is republicanism. That means in case of UK, as I was referring to, we know that the head of the queen, the king or queen, the head is actually the head of the state is actually on a hereditary basis. We know about monarchy. Okay. But in case of USA, the president comes to power by a process of election. Okay, and the president thereafter holds all the power. He is not a member of the Congress. Okay, and neither he is responsible to Congress. Okay, he is not answerable to Congress, and this is not only true for the this is actually a great deal of difference between a Republican government where in case of UK we have seen that there is a hereditary monarch, okay, and in case of USA there is a republic where the head of the state is actually elected. Okay. Next comes to the another feature, which is a presidential form of government. Again, we have already discussed this a number of times, that the head of the state, president, you know what are the features of the presidential form of government. Here, the president is actually the elected head of the state. He comes to office for 4 years, okay, and he is not a member of the Congress, nor he is responsible to the Congress, and neither he nor his cabinet is actually answerable to the Congress. Okay, So presidential form of government means here all the powers actually resides in the hand of the president. He is a statesman, and he is the he is the most, actually the position of US, the president of USA is the most powerful office in the world. Okay, and if you go through the powers, when we will do the power of the United President of USA, we will focus on this point much more comprehensively. Okay. Now the next feature is the dual citizenship. Citizenship, we all know that when you are a resident of this country, of a country, and you actually fulfill some of the conditions, then you become the citizens of that particular country. Okay, and as you become a citizen, you are also given with certain prerogatives, certain powers, certain freedom. Okay, so the thing is that in United States of America, we see that there is a concept of dual citizenship, while in case of India, which is also a federation, we see a single citizenship. Okay, now dual citizenship happens when you become a member, when you are a member of the member, you get a citizenship from the state where you were dwelling, and at the same time you are getting a citizenship from the center. Okay, that means you are having two citizenships, which is very important and very different also. In, like as I was referring to India, we have only one citizenship. No matter which part of India you belongs to, there is one. But in case of USA, one citizenship is from behalf of the center, and one citizenship is on behalf of the state where you domicile, where you reside. Okay. Next feature is the popular sovereignty. That means sovereignty where you are aware of the word sovereignty. That means the supreme power. Okay, the sovereign power which resides on the people, which resides with the people. Okay, that means ultimate power in the United States of America resides with the people. Okay, like definitely there are the Congress, president, judiciary, Supreme Court, everything, but the actual source of power, fountain of power, resides with the people. Okay, because it is the people who are bringing who actually is a fountain, okay, or bedrock of the government of USA. Okay, they are getting their power and prerogatives only because of the consent of the people. Okay, so the president who comes to power, or the person who are the people, or the the officials of the Senate and House of Representatives and the Supreme Court will definitely, or whatever they do, okay, they have to keep in the mind that ultimate power resides with the people. Okay, then we have a bicameral legislature in USA where there were two houses. Okay, bicameral means two and unicameral means one. Okay, now the house is actually Congress, as I have referred to, but the upper house and the lower house, okay, the upper chamber is known as the Senate, and the lower chamber is known as the House of Representatives. Okay, now the Senate, as I was referring to the upper chamber, that is actually, okay, the most powerful upper chamber. Okay, why? Because as I was referring to, that Senate plays a very, very important role, for example, in ratification of treaty, in ratification of agreements, okay, and in confirming the appointments which are made by the president. Okay, in all these things, Senate plays a very, very important role. Okay, we will do US legislature, and then again individually I will focus more light on Senate, so I am not going much into detail. But the thing is that out of these two, Senate and House of Representatives, Senate is a house which is formed for 6 years. Okay, and it is actually a very compact house consisting of 100 members. On the other hand, in the House of Representatives, it is actually a house which is a little less powerful. It has its own powers and prerogatives, but it is a little less powerful, because, and it has its own dynamics also, that it consists of around 434 members, and it is formed for a the tenure is of 2 years. So you can very well make out that a house which is more compact, a house which have been composed for a longer period of time, will definitely has uh, much more possibility to serve, you know in a more greater manner than a house, than a chamber which is composed of more member. Okay, uh, of 434 members, as I was saying, and which has even been formed for a less tenure. So this is, you know so by from the very by the terms of his composition and the tenure, you can make out that there is a difference between the two chambers. Okay, nevertheless, this bicameral, oh, it's already time. So the thing is that I have also completed my lecture. That means here these are the different basic features of the US Constitution. Okay, and if you write any term paper on this, then do focus on all these features in your tutorial.